Alright, all parties have been notified. The beacons have been lit. Hello. Welcome. Good evening. It's a little bit chaotic right now because I definitely didn't lose track of time. My bad. I am Jax Wolff. You can find me at jaxwolff.bsky.social. And I am your host for this evening. Welcome to Night Rights. If this is your first time here, hello. You're in for a treat. Companion Wolf has already joined us with... I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but hello. Welcome. If this is your first Night Rights, it is very simple. We are a chill writing chat / stream. You just sit back, you relax, you do things if you would like, anything that you feel like doing. Technically, it's a writing stream, but I am very lax about what you do. I am not the police, your parents, and so forth, so do whatever you feel like. But basically, if you click through that link that you see on Blue Sky or Discord, you can join us, and there is an open chat. In the open chat, you can say whatever you want, as long as it doesn't violate YouTube TOS. Please do not violate YouTube TOS. I like my channel. And if you post in our channel, I will read aloud and respond. For example, Companion Wolf says hello, :3, and I say hello, :3 right back. Now, the main meat and potatoes of this stream are basically writing sprints, and I put writing sprints in heavy quotes because, as I said, you can do whatever you want. You can write, you can edit, you can draw. I've had people come in here and chill out and play video games the entire stream. It does not matter. Those sprints start at 8:30, and we will do 20-minute sprints followed by 15 minutes or more of chatter to give you a little bit of a rest. Then we go into the next one, and then we continue on for 3 times. So now, what are writing sprints, you ask? They're very simple. I have a timer. That timer goes for 20 minutes, as I said. You have 20 minutes to do whatever you want. That is, if you do write, you have 20 minutes to write. If you do edit, you have 20 minutes to edit, and so on and so forth. At the end of 20 minutes, the first thing that we do on our 15-minute break is to talk about how much we did and root for each other and praise each other for our job well done. Now, the only other thing that I have to mention is that some of you are probably a little bit anxious. I totally understand. We are all writers, or at least I have advertised this to the writing community, which means that most of you are probably a little bit shy, aka introverted, aka dear God, please no to phone calls. In order to help you ease in, we do have an icebreaker. That is in the little banner to the left of your screen. And icebreakers are just basically little questions that help you ease into our chat, get used to talking to people, but I assure you that there are very few people who come into this chat, don't worry, and they are all very super chill. We have one right now. I'm sure that we will get others, and they are all very friendly. We are basically like Cheers. Everybody knows each other's name, and whenever somebody walks in, we all give out a norm. But in any case, tonight's icebreaker is be cringe, stare at your chosen ones. This is totally not related to the fact that Passover is I think it's tonight? I am so bad at remembering Jewish holidays, and I'm Jewish, so this is probably a bad thing. But, especially since it's one of those holidays where you're not where it has specific rules. Like, for example, don't eat bread. You should be getting rid of your bread. I definitely have fresh baked bread in my freezer and on my counter, and you can take those away from me by prying them out of my cold dead hands or giving me a celiac disease diagnosis. God knows what's going on with my intestines. That's probably the case. I have no idea. But in any case, bread is good. Companion Wolf says, we had Passover Seder last night. No second night for me, lol. That's totally understandable. Like, Seders are fun, don't get me wrong. And everything besides matzah is delicious. Like, I will even take, like, the parsley that you dip in salt water, and it's supposed to remind you of the tears of your ancestors. And I'm like, holy shit, this is really good. Companion Wolf says, did you know matzo with Nutella is good? Learned this recently. To be fair, everything with Nutella is good. Like, if you just, like, slapped... okay. So maybe not everything with Nutella is good, because I'm pretty sure you cannot fix beets. But, you know, like, it's Nutella. And matzo by itself has no taste. It is basically nutritional cardboard. So, like, you slap Nutella on that bad boy and you've got a good time. But also, I know from experience that chocolate and matzo are a good combination. About years ago, back whenever I was in grad school, I used to work at a bakery/cafe, and they did all kinds of treats. But they were run by a fellow Jew, and so we had no special items for Easter or Christmas or anything like that. We had special items for Thanksgiving and Passover, because fuck you. And one of the items was chocolate covered matzah. Like, it wasn't like chocolate flavored matzah, which actually coming out of my mouth right now sounds disgusting. But it was like actual matzah dipped in chocolate, and holy shit. Those flew off the shelves, so it was like, I would be very lucky if I could take home a sample, but when I took it home, it was so good. Like, think of like a chocolate covered wafer, only big. And it was just so good. It was so good. I do miss that. So I can definitely see like Nutella and matzo. Like, you would have to be very careful with your Manischewitz matzah, because like that thing will like shatter into your Nutella, I'm sure. But like, if you're careful with it, I'm sure that's amazing. Or like, maybe if you like, how did you do it? Did you like microwave the jar and then just sort of like pour it over like some people do with other kinds of crack? Because you mentioned in your post that you just sent while I'm raving about chocolate covered matzah, and we had matzah crack last night, chocolate and toffee on matzah at Seder. I may have ate all of it, and like, knowing how... I apologize to everybody for what I'm about to say, but knowing how crack, as in the food, as in like the sweet thing, like normally saltine crackers with stuff poured over them is made, I'm pretty sure that it's universally like you melt something and then pour it over the thing that you're trying to coat. So I have no idea how she did it. My aunt made it. Fair enough. But like, yeah, I can see it too. Like, so I'll give you a short recipe, and this is actually for like, I learned this from like B. Dylan Hollis, actually, because he's fantastic and it's somebody that everybody should watch at least once. But like, Christmas crack is very simple to make. It's basically, you melt chocolate, you lay out saltines on like a baking dish, and you pour the chocolate over the saltines. And you can do this like for all kinds of things. Like, if you want to make Christmas crack, you might do it with peppermint candies. And then at the very end, or I've heard of it being done with like just straight up like jars of frosting, as I continued to research this very Midwestern ass sounding recipe. But like, just take anything that you can melt and pour over your stuff, and then at the very end, you sprinkle on whatever toppings, like sprinkles or whatever, nuts, whatever, and then you stick it in the freezer to let it freeze and harden. And then afterwards, you take it out and you crack it, and that's where the name comes from. It's actually not the saltine crackers that are the base, it's just like you crack it. So, it is fucking delicious. I say this not as somebody who's actually tried it, because other than like the chocolate matzah, I've never actually tried food crack. But like, It looks so delicious, and the components are like objectively good. Like crunchy thing and fucking chocolate. It's like, how can you go wrong? You can't. You literally cannot. Anyway, right. Happy Passover. Where were we? Happy Passover. Seders are fun. Like, it doesn't even matter. Like, sure, Jewish Seders have the same kind of vibes as Thanksgiving dinners, only I've never really seen, like, super weird family drama at Passover Seder, but you do have, like, that unity and you have that chill thing, because I guess, like, we're all talking about, you know, Jewish oppression, so I feel like you know, like, surviving Jewish ordeals with the capital O. So I feel like that kind of tempers people a little bit. It's like, oh, this is a holy holiday, so we have to actually have some sort of respect, but also, like, we're celebrating the fact that we've made it another year. So, like, and I don't know, like, I've never been to a Seder that where people didn't have fun with the readings and whatnot. So there's also that. Like, there's the readings. So all in all, I do like Seders. I haven't been to one in years because, like, I don't know a lot of Jews, ironically, despite living in New York. I don't know how this happened, but I don't know a lot of Jews in New York Jews, which is probably for the best. And this is despite, like, I could have joined several synagogues, but, like, apparently synagogues here are very expensive. But anyway. Compendium said, we sang frog song at Seder. See? Like, you got, everybody has fun at Seders. Like, it's probably because of the content, but, like, it's some kind of holy unspoken rule that you cannot do a Seder unless you have fun doing it. And it's great. So, I am really delighted to hear that you did Frog Song. So I'd hate to do this, but I actually need to step away from the computer for like 5 minutes. I'm just going to leave the music on loop. I will be back in time for the first run. It's just, you know, like, I was throwing this all together and there's a few things that I need to clean up, but be right back. Feel free to talk amongst yourselves. Do the icebreaker, which we haven't even got into. I haven't explained why it's relevant. I think the short answer is Prince of Egypt is a really good movie, and so is the story of Exodus, but that specifically. But anyway, I'm going to step away 5 minutes. Be right back. Alright, and I'm back. Sorry about that. So, probably a little bit TMI, but, before, like half an hour before stream, I'm at dinner, and there are these tofu bites that are, like, lemon pepper tofu bites that has Mickey Mouse on, like, the box or something like that. I don't know why I keep getting them. I actually do not like them. I think I had them once. I was like, oh, this is really nice. I like this. And then I had them again, and I'm like, this texture is so wrong, and I hate this lemon pepper taste. But anyway, long story short, I am right now taking Tums, and basically, I had to take a moment to settle in, as it were. But in any case, do not eat the lemon pepper tofu bites with the Mickey Mouse on the box. They suck so much. Sidebar, but if you're following me on Blue Sky, you probably know that I have done a meatless March. I was semi-successful with that. There was only like one day when my parents were here whenever I actually had to have meat, and I am kind of sort of continuing it. I'm mostly vegetarian at this point, which is pretty cool, but you know, it's like, it's really, I've gotten creative with some recipes, but I do still like meat substitutes. I always like trying different things when it comes to protein sources. So I will raid that little, the little cooler at my local grocery store where they keep meat substitutes. And a lot of them are pretty decent. I have discovered that there's this plant-based teriyaki bao that I am addicted to. But, and there are also these steak strips that are never in stock that are super good. Like Korean barbecue flavored steak, quote-unquote steak strips. But then there are some really bad misses, like those fucking tofu bites. But in any case, while I was gone, Companion Wolf says, I'm trying to think of a chosen one in my writing, but I haven't had one in a long time. And also meat, period. First off, yes, meat, period. I will say, just like, in general, like, I don't think I've seen too many benefits of, like, going full meatless. Full disclosure, like, it's not for everybody. Like, I'm not gonna be, like, one of those, vegan advocates who are like, you know, everything's better when you go vegan. To be honest with you, during my little meatless stint, I was hungrier than I've ever been. Like, constantly hungry and constantly tired. I think it's just, like, that first month is usually pretty rough, as it is whenever you switch over diets, but, like, I don't know, like, it's like, live your life how you want to live it, you know what I mean? Like, every facet of the food production in this country is, like, full of graft, corruption, and questionable decisions. So, like, eating an avocado is just as questionable a decision ethically as eating a chicken. So, like, just do whatever, you know? But if it's something that you want to try and you believe that it will be beneficial to you, then absolutely, like, I would recommend hopping on board. Personally, I just, like, there are moments whenever I kind of do miss meat, but in the long run, like, I do like, you know, I do like those meat substitutes. I like meatless decisions. I don't super duper miss meat all the time. Like, it's so nice to be able to, like, cook a whole bunch of tofu and just, like, have that instead of, like, cooking chicken and then having to reheat it, you know what I mean? So it's, like, also kind of enabling my lazy ass decisions. Also, tofu is extremely versatile. I love it so much. But anyway, Companion Wolf says, in this year, I finally learned to enjoy the avocado. It is definitely, it's not an easy fruit to work with. Like, there's such a thing as bad avocado. If you eat it before it's ripened, it's like absolutely a horrendous decision all around. It also depends on what kind of avocado you get. Like, personally, I like the Hass avocado more than the larger Caribbean varieties, which are sweeter and, you know, they taste a little bit fresher, but to me, it's just like wrong. But, when it comes to avocado, like, it is versatile, but it's like, it takes a bit to work with it. Companion Wolf says, learning so much about the avocado. To be fair, like, the Caribbean avocados are not like the avocados that are typically sold in stores. The Hass avocado, or the little green ones, are the ones that everybody thinks of. There just happens to be like a higher population of literally everybody in my immediate area, so I have access to them in like just Walmart, just up the road. But like, most likely you probably will only get like the small green ones, and with the small green ones, you absolutely 100% need to let them ripen. Like, if you have them if you get one and it's hard as a rock, do not eat that. That is an unripened avocado. It will taste like absolute shit. Leave it on your counter for a couple of days, let the skin go black, and it should be a little bit mushy, but not like so mushy that if you press on it, it feels hollow. You're looking for that it's firm all the way. It's like you can feel the flesh all the way around, but it's a little bit squishy. At that point, that's when it's good to go. Slice it in half, take out the pit. You can slice it and put it in your sandwiches. You can make guacamole with it. When guacamole is like a whole different ball game. Like, you throw in a little bit of chopped tomato, a little bit of lime, and I don't personally like cilantro because I'm one of the people for whom cilantro tastes like soap. But you can throw in cilantro if you want, a little bit of onion, and you are fucking good to go. You can even put in like a little bit of jalapeno if you want that little bit of kick. It is such a good little dip. It's so easy to make. Avocado, you can throw it into a smoothie if you want, and you will not be able to taste the avocado, believe me. It's like, I love avocados so much. Downside is, it is linked to pretty unsafe working conditions. Like, just in general, like, there's a lot to be said about farming practices. And whether or not workers are treated humanely. So, like, there's that. But, like I said, there's graft and corruption all over the industrial farming industry, which our country runs on. So, like, avocados, and generally crops like any kind of crop in general that you can think of that's grown in the U.S., 9 times out of 10, it comes from a farm that doesn't treat its workers really well. But on the other hand, like, if you eat meat, you also have animals that are packed into little factory spaces, and they're treated inhumanely. It's like every step of food production, somebody is fucking it up. So, like, there is no such thing as truly ethical food consumption unless you're growing it yourself and shopping locally from farms that you've actually vetted. So, Companion Wolf says they need to put more toys in the avocado. The wooden ball is getting old. Well, that's just because you need to, like, practice your ping pong a little bit more, man. Anyway, it is 8:34, and I'm like also kind of like compensating for the fact that I took a 5-minute break just now when I started the stream 5 minutes early. So, you know, at this point, I'll go and say hi to anybody else who might be in. We do have, looks like 3 concurrent viewers, so if you haven't said hello, feel free to drop in. Don't be shy. Feel free to do the icebreaker. My response to the icebreaker is, hi, welcome to the Nameless Song, where our hero is the chosen one who is chosen by a rooster. It's a fun time had by all. He doesn't want it. The rooster is very much, the rooster is pure. We love the rooster here. The rooster god is love. The rooster god is life. The rooster god is the most important character in the entire series. All hail Chanticleer. But yeah, I can totally understand if other people don't want to work with the chosen one trope. It is very much a cliche. And it's an uncomfortable one. A lot of people have, there's a lot of, depending on how you go about doing it, it's going to be either come off as really old and tired or just like, another Jesus allegory. I was reading Companion Wolf's quote and basically all caps Rooster God heart. Yes, exactly. We love the Rooster God in this house. We all worship Chanticleer. No, I'm kidding. But basically, like, I personally still like playing with it just because it makes for hilarious dynamics, especially if you parody it. And the Nameless Song is definitely, I wouldn't say it's an outright parody, but it's definitely like, this trope is so dumb, and we're going to acknowledge how dumb it is while also playing it straight. But anyway, that is, so yeah, long story short, Mick is technically a chosen one, but it could have literally been anybody else. And that's kind of what's funny about it. Chanticleer just chose him for reasons, basically, because Chanticleer is the god of serendipity, so Chanticleer does not put thought into his decisions. Chanticleer, again, is a rooster, so this checks out. So, yeah, that's the chosen one. That having been said, I think, I've been stalling enough. Companion Wolf, what are you working on tonight? Because, like, I, meanwhile, am definitely going to be transcribing what I wrote today and last night. It's been a very long week, so I haven't had time or that much of a chance to work on the Nameless Song Draft 5. Until basically last night, whenever I was like fully burned out. It was after a very long day, or not so long, but long-ish. After a full week of very long days, made even longer by my very poor decision of watching a 42-hour fucking video of the Beverly Hillbillies. When I close my eyes and when I don't have music on, I can still hear Russ's voice. Please send help. But in any case, last night I was just like, I'm just so tired. I cannot sit in front of a computer. So I took my journal and a pen and I went to my, and just basically sprawled out on my bed with the Sky Captain, The World of Tomorrow playing in the background, which is a very good movie, incidentally, as we've discussed on Blue Sky. And I started writing for the first time in several days. So it felt good to come back to that. But I will be spending the first set run, at least, working through that, working through transcribing everything that I wrote, both last night and today whenever I went and parked myself in a cafe to try to finish a journal and didn't quite get there. Companion Wolf says self-ship fanfic, I think, which is completely valid if you are not too embarrassed to let us know what self-ship you're doing. Feel free to put it directly into the chat. If not, totally okay. Otherwise, it is currently 8:39. We'll be starting in just a moment. So absolutely get to your docks if you haven't gone to them already. Shake out those fingers and those limbs. Make sure that you have plenty of water if you haven't. Remember, kids, stay hydrated. Excuse me while I open a window. Cabana Wolf says, Mark Scout from Severance. He's nice to me, heart. Totally valid. That is an excellent choice. I should really actually start watching Severance, but I've heard it's really good, and that is a fantastic and fun character. So I absolutely wish you luck with that. Alright, on that note, let me just wind down here. Alright, 20 minutes on the clock. Get ready, get set, good luck, and here we go. Alright, that's the end of our first run. How did we do? As you saw on that little pop-up, I had gotten 697 words transcribed / added in as notes. But tell me how you guys did. And I am not looking forward to tomorrow. It's going to be one hell of a week. I'm going to have a little bit more free time, so at the very least, I'll be able to trudge through. Hopefully, get to maybe chapter 3 / past chapter 3. What's great about what I'm doing right now is that there was originally going to be another scene here. As you saw me cut and paste into my little snips draft. My cut snips draft, which is basically a repository of everything that I don't really think works, but I don't really delete, as folks know. As folks keep on trying to recommend to me, do not delete everything. Yes, I know this. I have my Scrivener files. I actually have entire folder dedicated to notes and old outlines, old pieces, everything. Companion Wolf says 426 words, smiley face. That is excellent progress, especially if you're doing it raw. So, heck yeah. But anyway, yeah, it is a good practice to do, because you never know if you like a turn of wording and want to reincorporate it, or if the new direction that you are trying to go down doesn't actually work and you need to go back and try the old direction again, but with a different twist. I've done that. It is ironically what I'm doing with the Nameless Song now. I am actually going back to the original draft and taking concepts from there, but doing them better, essentially. There are still a lot to the original draft that does not work. And I am rewriting essentially from scratch, but like the basic concept, and this is going to be especially relevant once we get to the transformation scenes. Basically, the Draft 4 transformation was split between Nick and Eleanor, but the Draft 1 transformation was like straight up, they were both exploring an underground city together, and Nick transformed in the 5 minutes that Eleanor's back was turned, essentially. So that's probably going to be something similar to what's going to happen. There's still going to be an underground city. They're still going to explore it together. Because I do want to bring in that old mystery of these ruins. Eldana is this place where there's a lot of history, and that history is going to become relevant in further books. But in this one, it's sort of like it adds a little bit of flavor, but it also hints at technology that you're going to see later on in this draft whenever the Order comes in, because the Order works hand in hand with the Archives, and the Archives study First Age technology and dragons because they were established to essentially be the reconnaissance portion of the military. So essentially, way back during the Dragon Wars, the Royal Crown of Eldana was like, we have these dragons. This is a problem. We know that they're intelligent. We know that they have a chosen one. We need to figure out how to find the chosen one. We need to figure out how to find these artifacts so that chosen ones can stop coming. And we need to figure out how to defeat the dragons so that we can colonize this land in peace for us. So they founded 2 branches. The first branch is the outward military. That is the Order of the... full name is the Order of the Dawnlit Gods. I keep on forgetting that because I only ever call it the Order. And they are essentially currently the Queen's personal army. So she has appointed Lord Ismail as like the absolute leader of this army. I haven't really settled on what his title actually is, but basically Lord Ismail is the Queen's nephew, so he was already destined and groomed to become the leader of the Order of the Dawnlit Gods, but then he became Phelan's chosen one, so now he's definitely like, okay, you have to be up in rank. You have to be in this position. There you go. But the other side of it is the Royal Archives, which in modern day operates as if like, oh, this is the Smithsonian and the Library of Congress together. They're the ones who archive every piece of information, every piece of knowledge in Eldana. But this is a cover because way back in the day, they were essentially the people researching old tech. Like, they were going out and finding old ruins because the artifacts would often be found in ruins. That's a piece of information they got by torturing shepherds. So the Order would go out, capture shepherds. The shepherds would be delivered to the capital, and they would be tortured by the archives, who would then get information that they would be able to use in order to hunt down more artifacts. So they would go in, or the archives would send people into these ruins, first off to find the artifacts, but also second off to research technology to figure out what the First Age actually was, why they kept on making these artifacts, how do they work. But they don't really have too many answers in that regard, because ultimately the artifacts are not actually First Age in nature. The gods who make them, I will not say too much else, although I can say that Chanticleer directly made Mix. Basically, this is so many tangents in one, it's so complicated. Basically, the gods make the artifacts. Then the gods place the artifacts in First Age ruins, because those are like the most remote areas, and they're often sacred ground to the gods. And then an adventurer comes along, discovers the artifact, becomes the next shepherd. So that's the usual process. Chanticleer is the newest god to participate in this process, and he made the artifact that Mick holds. So that is how Mick is literally Chanticleer's chosen one. But basically, because these are actually not part of the First Age, the archive often walks away with zero information about the artifacts, but they do have plenty of information on First Age technology in general. That includes weaponry. So there we go. That is how the Order ends up being the only army in this entire world to have things like airships and flying metal birds and literal mechas. It is literally the most advanced army in the world of Lumina. And this is part of the reason why nobody ever goes to war with Eldana, despite the fact that Eldana has been at peace and not at war with anybody for the past 400 years. Because, first off, you do not fuck with a nation that has defeated literal dragons, and second off, you also do not fuck with the only nation in the world that has giant fucking robots. So, there's all of that. You have world building now. But in any case, yeah, that is why that element is coming back in. It is actually supposed to hint at what the Order and archives are capable of. Like, there's going to be a little bit of lore that we'll get into then. And it will be kind of like a warning signal. Just sort of like planting the seeds to the point where we end up, or planting the seeds for whenever we actually see the arc or the order in motion. Because there's going to be a little bit less travel in this draft. The draft 4 was basically like a road trip, but this draft, basically Mick changes in chapter 4, and that is the other thing. Like, what I'm doing right now is still chapter 2. Chapter 2 is very long, but it's going to be worth it. In previous drafts, it would have been chapters 3 through 5. Last draft, I think it was actually literally chapters 3 through 6 that I'm covering. So all the preliminary stuff is happening in 2 chapters, and hopefully that'll be appeasing to the betas. But we are getting to the part where Mick and Eleanor stumble into the ruins and discover the artifact, and that'll be happening in chapter 3. Then basically Meadowlark is happening shortly thereafter, and after Meadowlark is whenever Mick finally meets the other dragons who are still alive, and he's taken to the dragon's sanctuary, literally sanctuary, and then the rest of the book happens. And whereas in the previous draft, like, sanctuary happened in chapter like 19, 20, so on and so forth. So it's all sped up, just because I want to get Mick in in the role of shepherd very early, so that we can get a little bit more fun. Like, so there's going to be a little bit more fight scenes, a little bit more interactions with the Order, a little bit extra spice, as you will, as we get into a lead up towards that final battle. Hopefully, at least hopefully, like, I'm not 100% sure that the execution early on in these first couple of chapters is going to work. We definitely have less of Lord Albert. I don't want to cut him because he actually is an important figure, and he's part of the reason why he's part of what kicks off the plot for both Mick and Eleanor. He's supposed to be a foil to Mick, and he's supposed to really emphasize, this is what Eleanor could have. She could have a magical boyfriend who can use magic, and he's rich, he's cultured, he's everything that Mick is not. And Mick understands this, he knows this, and though he's not super, cool with Albert himself, he's not as, Eleanor definitely hates the man, but Mick's he is a jerk, but whatever, he's not the worst person in the world. And he's definitely a better choice of a partner than I am. Just later on in this chapter, we'll actually meet Albert's party, and we'll have that little bit of a struggle, because, Albert has this entire party of 5 other seasoned adventurers around him. He can provide the adventuring experience that Eleanor's looking for, whereas Mick's only got, Mick is only one person. He's already he's a liability because he can't use magic. Though he has people skills, he can't exactly round up an entire party for her. And to top it all off, because Eleanor has only a party of 1 around her, that restricts what kind of jobs that she can get. So, if you see, if you see on the screen right now, she's oh, there's more sunflowers. Sunflowers being, a type of monster. It's literally just a sentient walking sunflower. But they're super easy to kill, and they're considered they're the level 1 enemies in your JRPG. And they've been murdering these things en masse for the past week. And Eleanor is very aware of this, and she's more sunflowers. We could be doing something more exciting, but it's just sunflowers all the way down. So Mick understands that she's getting bored of the same job over and over again, but he can't provide her with another job because they're low-level adventurers in a party. Like, if he tries to go after another job, it'd be like sending 2 level 3 adventurers out after like level 10 monsters. So that's like the thinking there. So yeah, like Mick's got a lot of complexes going on, and Albert's supposed to bring that out of him and force him to face these. And basically just like make him even more conflicted about being Eleanor's partner. He wants to be. He agreed to this, and he's very dedicated about protecting Eleanor and giving her the best possible experience because she chose him and he loves her and he wants to see her happy and protected. But at the same time, he also knows that he can't do everything for her. He can't make her dreams come true. And that's going to be a struggle. And every time Albert comes on screen, he's supposed to remind Mick of exactly this. But the problem is, like, because the beginning is so quick now, and it's only confined to, like, one POV, we don't get as much depth. We also don't get a lot of depth to Eleanor. We don't have her family issues brought up in as much detail. We do get hints of it here and there. We do get that kind of, like, a sense that she doesn't want to go back and doesn't want to be a lady, but we don't really get that much detail because it's never in her point of view. And Mick doesn't fully understand why she doesn't want to go back to a cushy life and be, like, a lady. Like, he knows that it's wrong to force somebody to marry somebody who doesn't, he knows that Eleanor's ultimate fate is to be married off to another lord or some other blue blood or a wealthy merchant, somebody in her status, and he understands that she doesn't want to have that happen and that it's wrong for her to be forced to do it, especially if she doesn't love whoever is chosen for her. He also understands that his father is going to choose for her who she marries, so, like, it's like he understands that that part's bad, but he doesn't understand, because he's a very practical person, why she would completely turn her back on everything that is cushy about her life. So, like, that's part of the reason why he's actually out there. It's just sort of like to convince Eleanor to pick a more practical route in life. Like something, choose one of the many doors that are open to her so that she can return to a life of status and comfort, because that makes more sense than being out on the road and fighting monsters. But he doesn't fully see or fully comprehend, that it's very complicated for Eleanor. Eleanor just wants freedom. She wants to be able to explore the world and see all the beautiful things that are in it, things that she wouldn't be able to see or experience as a high-class lady. But this perspective isn't completely present in this draft because it's not in Eleanor's point of view. We don't get to see Eleanor's point of view until at least book 2, and that's even a maybe. So, this has been a very long ramble, and this is the most I've ever talked about my own fucking book that I've been writing in streams for weeks. So, I really hope that you guys are, like, here for this. But, yeah, long story short, there are a lot of changes. In a lot of ways, I feel a little bit comfortable, or I feel a lot more comfortable with this draft than I did with past drafts. I am excited about the bits where we're going to see a lot more excitement and a lot more action than just, like, traveling and repeating the same travel, fight, fight, town, fight, that kind of rhythm over and over and over again. It's going to be something a little bit different, and I am excited about that part. I am just very worried that there's going to be a lot going on in this part of the draft, like the very beginning, the world building part, that's not going to come off well, and that isn't going to establish the story that I want to tell, as well as previous drafts. But that's also why I've been cutting out a lot. Like, that is why I cut out the Voidwell stuff. That's why I might be simplifying the magic system, maybe. That's why I cut out an entire whole-ass character and so on and so forth. But yeah. It's just like, the more that I slim down, the more easier it will be to get these chapters out of the way. But there are still some bits that I definitely need in order to fully establish the world, and I hope that it comes across A-okay. Companion Wolf says, "It's good soup, Jax. I like to hear it. The narrative foilness. Is that the right word? There you described is cool. Thank you." Rainus, hello, welcome. Rainus says, "Sometimes you need to write it out for yourself to see, even if it's not for the reader just yet." That is totally true. That is also why trash drafts exist, and this is definitely a trash draft. So absolutely, thank you for the reassurance there. But also, hello, how are you? But yeah, I'll continue smashing through this, and hopefully it'll make sense the further that I get into it. Hopefully I'll find a good rhythm with it, and hopefully the story will come together a little bit more than it did in past drafts, which is ultimately the entire point, but we'll see, all in all. But yes, hello. Rena says, "Tired from last week. It's Monday on my side, but want to pop in." Totally understandable. Welcome back. Happy Monday on your side of the world. But yeah, I hear you. I feel like it's been that for everybody. It's been a wild month. It has been time. But, you know, hopefully as the year goes on, it'll get a little bit easier, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Hey, hello. Bay drops in and says, "I also enjoyed you talking about the progress of your drafts." Thank you. I cannot guarantee that's going to happen for every single break, but at the very least we have this. And it does feel good to talk about it, because like I said, I don't really use these streams to talk about my progress all that often. I really don't know why. Like, basically, these are like, you've heard me ramble about every other topic under the sun and my own personal opinions about stuff. But for some reason, like, the actual thing that you see on the screen is not something that I talk about too often. But in any case. Rena says, "Fingers crossed for all of us." Yes, absolutely. I was about to make an American politics joke, but then I realized, you know, not everybody is I realized something that a lot of people on social media do not realize, and that is not everywhere is the United States. But, yeah, it's... Monday is Monday for everybody, and honestly, like, I'm sure that there are fun things going on in your neck of the woods. Over here, things are still very much on fire, but day-to-day life, you know, we all go on. And yeah, things are bad, but, you know, we go on. That's all. It's the best that we really can do for the time being until something happens. But, you know, not to get super political, despite the fact that there is at least one communist rant session in this stream, but basically, we can protest. You know, protests are good. They have been happening, and they've been happening all across the country. The results of that we do see sporadically, but with as many changes in the negatives that are happening, it's going to take like a really drastic something for things to truly gain momentum towards the positive. But in the meantime, you know, you wake up, you go to work, you try not to have it suck out your soul, and at the end of the day, you do a little bit of writing, and you do a little bit of chilling, and you go back to bed, and you wake up, and you do it all over again, and that is the best that anybody can do for right now until something else happens, you know? So, there's that. And outside of this country, it's basically the same thing, I'm sure. Like, adulthood is actually a lot less interesting than the media that we grew up with made it seem to be. So, like, you trudge through, you hope for the best. You wake up and you do it again. And that is a universal feeling, I think, anyway. Or at least I hope it's, you know, somewhat better in your neck of the woods compared to over here. But in any case, it is nearing 9:30. We can start in on our second sprint of the night at 9:30. Bay and Reynos, are you working on anything, by the way? Companion Wolf is working on Self-Ship. They have done 426 words. I forgot to ask if any of those words involved smooching and or Mark continuing to be nice. But, you know, if you have a project on the table, feel free to share the deets. I am going to let my voice rest for at least a minute or so. Raina says, I'm working on my relaxing side project that I usually save for office days, but I need the break. Totally understandable. Sometimes we just need a fun little side project to let our brains have fun. But yeah, what kind of side project? Companion Wolf says, words include nice Mark, yes, so no kissy, no. That's fair, that's fair. Nice Mark is still excellent Mark. Alright, it is 9:30. So if you aren't already on your docks, please get to your docks. We are flexing our fingers and we are taking a deep breath because 20 minutes are on the clock again. Reina says the side project is Magical Girl X is accidentally getting back together again, which sounds messy and fantastic. I am here for this. I wish you the best of luck on those shenanigans and best of luck on everybody else for their shenanigans. 20 minutes are on the clock. And here we go for round 2. Good luck. Alright, and that is sprint number 2. How did we do? On my end, I did 825. Mostly transcription, although these notes are like actually raw. Because I forgot to note, Mick had never been outside of Southwind. Ruben definitely has a reason for being in this cafe, and so on and so forth. But how did y'all do? It was definitely not a good thing that I watched 42 hours of fucking Beverly Hillbillies content and Petticoat Junction content, because now I keep on like, it's good because it's great model for Ruben's voice. It's bad because I can't stop. Companional says 361 words. I think it is done, but I don't know if I will share it. A little vulnerable. Totally understandable. One thing about fanfiction is that it is all basically YOLO, as I like to think about it. You will put out like absolute stinkers, but somebody will still love it. Or if you put out an absolute stinker, there's a good chance that nobody will actually read it. And that is the stance that I had taken for all of my works when I used to do fanfiction. Reno says 227 words. Excellent. Also, your character and you are having too much fun. Absolutely, and I hope that you are as well, because hell yeah, messy lesbian magical girls, please do talk about that more. But yeah, let's see. So basically, just circling back to what I was saying to Companion Wolf is definitely. It's okay to write fanfiction that's only for yourself. Ultimately, fanfiction is a fun thing you do with words that allows you to interact with the fandom and canon in a way that is fun for you. So if you don't post it, that is completely valid too. If you do post it, worry not. There's an audience for everything. If you want to gain the confidence to post it, my best advice is pretend like nobody's going to read it anyway. Honestly, in my opinion, that might be the worst case scenario for any fanfiction. Sure, you would think that getting flamed to hell is also worst case scenario, but it's really not, because like you can just delete reviews these days. Or you can just be like, haha, look at this loser just reading fanfiction and wasting their time ripping it apart. But like so like I don't particularly think that getting flamed is that big of a deal. It is funny, in my opinion, at most. If you get nothing, then that is still not a big deal, because like you're not really expecting anything to begin with, or at least you should probably not expect anything to begin with. But there's not really anything else to say whenever you get 0 reviews and views. It's not like it's funny or anything, it just kind of is. And honestly, that's the worst possible thing that can happen. Like, so long as you're not writing something super weird. Like, I don't know if we should bring up Lily, what's her face? Like, the one who did, like, I can't remember her name right now, and I don't feel like wasting time to look it up, but like that one who did that huge ass Twitter thread about writing advice, and it was all basically just attacking She-Ra for some reason. The one who also did weird ass underage non-con, that if you're writing that, yeah, you'd be canceled, and that would be bad. But then again, that would be bad for you, and probably the worst thing that could happen to you. But then again, you would deserve it in that case. But if you're not writing that, then the worst that can happen is basically you just fall into obscurity, whatever. Base says 66 words. Yes. Excellent. Those are 66 words, more than you had. What are you working on, by the way? Is it more Fire Emblem fic? Because, like, it's been a while since I've, like, have you gotten a new, Pokemon thing going on? Or is it all just Fire Emblem all the way down? Companion Wolf says nod. Reno says, the Magical Girl X's fanfic is only for myself, even though I'm sure a lot of the Madoka Magica fangirls want to see Kyoko, Sakura, and Mami Tomoe get back together. That is fun. That is messy. Like, not the messiest possible ship, because, like, there's also Kyoko and Sayaka, even though technically they're still canon, but, like, you can definitely imagine that if they ever break up, it would be super messy and super dramatic. But Kyoko and Mami are also a good pairing right there, and also very fun and messy. But anyway, it's very valid that it's only for yourself as well. And also, the Madoka Magica fangirls love all kind of... I don't interact with the Madoka Magica fandom that often, but from what I can tell, they just love anything that's sapphic. Like, you can throw any combination of the quintet at them, and they'll be like, fuck yeah. You can do, like, an entire quintet polyamory, and I'm pretty sure they would be like, fuck yeah. Companion Wolf says, no, it's just vaguely sad and personal self-ship fic. That is totally also awesome. It sounds very cathartic, something that's very self-indulgent, and I fully support this. But yeah, in that case, yeah, 100%. Like, if it's self-indulgent and it's for you, then 100% I encourage sharing only what you feel like sharing ultimately. And, like, in this particular case, it is totally okay if you just put it in your folder and just read it whenever you feel like it. I've definitely done that too. That's how I actually got started in fanfiction, now I think about it. Like, I self-shipped a lot, and then I kind of outgrew that and wanted to write stuff like adventure fic and fantasy and stuff like that, and sci-fi. So then I started getting into that. But I still remember very fondly, like, being 13 years old and writing self-ship. It was a very cute time for me. So, like, I'm here for self-shippers. Base says, yeah, it's Fire Emblem, LOL, for an upcoming event next month. Ooh, have fun at the event. What kind of event? Is it like a con, or is it like an online event? Like, deets, girl, deets. I don't really get to talk to you all that often anymore. I don't know, it feels like, I don't really use Discord as much as I used to. And I have Blue Sky, but a lot of the people that I used to know in my fandom days don't really do Blue Sky all that often. So, or if they do, it's like reposts and stuff like that. So it's sort of like I don't really keep up as often as I probably should. I don't really talk as often as I should. And I don't know, it kind of hit me because, like, somebody from my old fandom days reached out. It's like, holy shit, I thought you had deleted. So, like, that was actually a pleasant surprise, and I have to get back to their message at some point. If they're listening, I am waving hello. But, like, Blue Sky has been a wonder. I don't regret. Sorry, little message right there. I don't regret getting into Blue Sky. I am definitely thriving there more than I have. I definitely like the vibe there more than I had with Tumblr. Like, there have been a couple of instances where I had found, like, the Tumblr flavored scene. Like, there's a book blogger that just kind of comes off like the weird pseudo happy bloggers on Tumblr in the Tumblr writing community who would go on about positivity, but they only ever talk about negativity and their own stuff and use positivity as a platform to advertise. Like, and then there was that instance earlier this week where somebody had gone off on me on like something that they interpreted in my writing that I was not actually saying. Like, it was those moments where it's sort of like, oh god, I'm back in Ripler, I'm back in the drama pile, but then I was like, I can just hit block, and I feel good about the block because now I can just focus on other things, and everybody else has been super pleasant and super welcoming. You know, we're all just kind of interested in media and writing, and though we talk about politics now and then, you will have people who just go off on politics. It's sort of like the vast majority are just like here for a good time, not a long time. So it's been, or they're kind of like here to talk shop and talk shop properly, not like I will only ever talk about, it's not like Ripler where there was like one queen bee that everybody would talk about and fuck everybody else. No, it's sort of like everybody is on an even playing field, and we're all talking about the industry and media that we like, and it feels like it's so much easier to have a conversation. But the downside is, if you haven't really adapted all that well, I might not be seeing you all that often, and I do feel a little bit bad about that. Anyway, Reno says, also Mary Sue's. All your Mary Sue's are safe with me. Absolutely. Can I just also say, like, the Mary Sue's, like, is such a I get it. I get what the concept was supposed to be. Like, but I feel like we should have just said what we meant. Like, it's not the superpowered, all-popular character. It's a character who warps the story so that it's only ever about how amazing they are. And there is no story. It's just the entire time it's circling around this one character. And don't get me wrong, that is still okay to write. Like, it is self-indulgent fanfiction to the absolute peak. It's just not 100% enjoyable for others to read. And if your goal is that's when it becomes a problem. But if your goal is not that, if your goal is just to write self-indulgent fanfiction, then there's nothing really wrong with Mary Sue's. And furthermore, I think that the litmus tests are fun, but also a dumb way to determine whether or not somebody is a Mary Sue. That is, it really warped how we see the core concept and core spirit of what a Mary Sue is. And all of a sudden, nobody knew what a Mary Sue actually was. It's all of a sudden, oh, it's the character with pink hair and magical powers. No, it's not. It is the self-indulgent center of a universe. It's the self-indulgent center of a self-indulgent universe. That is how a Mary Sue can be a boy as well. Like, gender does matter, but the way that we look at it through the lens of a litmus test, it became a misogynistic thing. But that's like an entire rant. The point is, the only time that a Mary Sue is bad is whenever you're expecting an audience. Whenever you're writing a book to be sold, and your audience buys it, and they go, I DNF'd this because the story is weak and this character is so annoying. You don't have the license to go after those people, essentially, because that is exactly, what did you expect? And I say this only because Empress Teresa is a thing. I know this sounds rambly, but like, if you want to know what a Mary Sue is, look at Empress Teresa. Now, the Empress Teresa series of books is like, it's a self-indulgent story. It was written by an author who wanted to explore these kind of fantastical elements, and on a very surface level, that is okay, it's no big deal. Like, it's a self-published novel, it's the author's vision, he's free to do whatever he wants creatively. But the problem is, it's not a really great story, and the title character is not really a good character, like a strong character. She is a Mary Sue to the max. Like, everything revolves around her. Everybody is like, oh, she's amazing. She's allowed to basically ruin the entire world and climate and everything in it, and she suffers no consequences because she is a good Catholic girl, and she is the most amazing and important person in the entire universe. But she's still allowed to, she has a character, and her story is still allowed to exist. The problem is the author sold this, is selling books with this story, and his audience does not like the story. They read it, they reviewed it as they have every right to, and they said they didn't like it, and then he jumped in on them. So there's the problem. So, long story short, Mary Sue's, the concept, I am cool with. Like, be as self-indulgent as you feel like. Just do not expect your audience to like what you do if you're putting this out to be read for money. If you're putting this out to be sold for real-world money to people who read this in their spare time, do not expect those people to like what you do, is what I'm saying. But other than that, like, be as Mary Sue-erific as you want. That having been said, Base says online writing art event that has the theme of tea party and flower language. Oh, that sounds really cute. I can see you definitely enjoying that, because you do a lot of shitfic, and it's a lot of cozy fantasy, and that does sound like a very cozy fantasy thing going on. So I'm wishing you the best of luck with the story, and I hope you enjoy the event. I hope that there's a lot of good stuff that you get to look at and read, because that is very cute. I love it. Anyway, it is currently 10:09. We can start in on our next sprint at 10:15. Just to give myself a little bit of rest, give you a little bit of rest. Also give me time to just like hash out schedules and things to expect. Incidentally, if you're on Blue Sky and you happen to be a writer, don't forget that Poster Pit is on April 19th. And I only say this because I forgot that it was also coming up. So I have so many screens on my other screen, so many windows open on my other screen to compile a poster. So that is probably going to consume a lot of my spare time over the next few days. If you don't know what Poster Pit is, they do have their own website. Let me just double check what it is. I think it's just posterpit.com. Oh, posterpit.carrd.co. So that is posterpit.carrd.co. That explains all the rules. It is an event that's happening on the Bird site and Blue Sky, and it is very simple. It is basically a pitch event wherein you advertise your work through the form of a movie poster. So the idea is that you make a movie poster of your work and you post it with your pitch, your hashtags, and you just have fun. So it is a little bit more involved. It is not a traditional pitch event where you get to use memes or mood boards. You should start preparing if you haven't started yet. I do have ideas for what I want to do for my poster. It's going to be a very simple one because I don't have character art yet. Someday I will get character art of Mick and Eleanor. That would be fantastic, but not anytime soon. But in any case, April 19th, Poster Pit. As for streams, it's going to be a little bit less crazy this coming week than it was in prior weeks. However, I still haven't hammered out when I'm going to stream. It's going to be kind of touch and go, depends on whether or not I have the energy for it, because last week did run me ragged. I still have yet to fully recover from it. So I can't guarantee that a stream will happen tomorrow or Tuesday. Wednesday is usually a night when I spend with the FC, so probably not going to be Wednesday. We will see about Thursday and onward. There's no work events happening this week, I do believe, so we should be in the clear in terms of nights and on weekends. But this upcoming weekend, I do hope to spend a little bit of time just recovering from the prior week. And actually, well, Poster Pit is actually the 19th, so I will be in all day. We'll see how that goes. There might be a stream that night just after Poster Pit wraps up. As I come down, I'll probably do some writing. 20th, probably not. We'll see. In any case, those are the plans for this week. Just to keep an eye out on Blue Sky and on Discord for further invites to our streams. Other than that, we're going to see how it goes. The FC still has yet to hammer out our raid team situation because things had happened. We are still very much not a complete team, and therefore our runs are kind of irregular. But the new EX dropped, and we're hoping to get back into the swing of things, especially once the Savages come out. This means absolutely nothing to anybody who does not know anything about Final Fantasy, but long story short, there will be things that we want to bop, and that will need a full team of 10 people to bop. But we don't have a full team of 10 people, but we will still try to figure out regular bopping, because that is what we as a collection would like to do. Just collective bopping with each other. The bopping is the friends that we make along the way. That's how it goes in Final Fantasy. Alternatively, if you would like to join in on the critically acclaimed MMORPG with a free trial, so on and so forth, hit me up. We have characters on Dynamis Kukulane. And we are always looking for chill people to add to our collection. However, if you want to do bopping with us, you will need to be dedicated to do bopping. It is not too bad. It is just basically dedicating a handful of hours on specific nights to bop. Again, FC is always open for new members. If you're chill, if we're chill, hit me up. We can talk. In any case, it is 10:15, so we shall do the last sprint of the night. 20 minutes are on the clock. And I wish you luck for this last sprint of the night. Get ready, get set, and go. All right. And that concludes our last sprint of the night. How did we do? I had reached the end of my transcription and hit 595 words. That is a lot. I am not guaranteeing that the next sprint or the next session of streaming will be as quite as successful, but at the very least, that is a lot of words that I've written in a couple of days, so I'm going to pat myself on the back. But how did the rest of you do? Companion Wolf had said during the sprint, I go get a snack for the last sprint. I hope that the snack was excellent. Companion Wolf says, I got snack of banana and my night meds. That is an excellent snack, yes. Especially the night meds. That must be the tasty part of it. How about everybody else? Reno says 168 words, not bad considering also working. Totally. That is a good point. You're technically currently in the middle of the workday. So that is excellent progress considering. Companion Wolf says good job, seconding there as well. But also, I mean, you know how it goes, like, boss makes $1, you make a dime, so therefore you write fanfiction on company time. But, yeah, also don't get in trouble by writing fanfiction instead of doing work. I've done that before, it is not fun. But then again, I'm also American, so it's sort of like we get reamed for not devoting all of our time and efforts into the job that we're doing. But in any case, Reno says, thanks all. Heart. I am hearting right back. Bay, how has your progress gone, if you're still with us? Bay says 159 words. Excellent progress as well. I hope that the rest of that story goes just as smoothly. On that note, I'm just thinking about how the rest of the night is going to go. Let me just download this one thing. But yeah, basically I can has dishes and I can has probably going to rest for the rest of the night, enjoying the last bit of break that I have before the upcoming shenanigans. So technically I should get started on my post-word, but at the very least I have my graphics picked out and we're just going to YOLO it. I think that's what's going to eventually happen, all in all. But then again, I always YOLO these shenanigans, so hey. In any case, just as a recap for... Let me also save this stuff. Like, I'm quickly saving everything, all the resources that I found. So, excuse me if I seem a little bit distracted. Alright, there we go. We have caught up. In any case, just as a recap, to what I was saying beforehand, there's still not going to be a solid schedule anytime soon. I'm going to check in with the FC when I can and see what their thoughts are in terms of any kind of schedule. You know, what days are we, even if we're not going to be raiding as a team, you know, what days are we going to hang out and do stuff? Once I get that figured out, I will pick out days to do regular streams because we are knee-deep in Draft 5, lads, and it is going to be work every single week until we get the next draft and Draft 6, wherein we add in words between all these brackets and bits of dialogue and shape this into a workable manuscript. I I am predicting that it will be at least a year and a half before I have the next working draft, maybe 2 years. So that is 2 years worth of streams. I want to get back to regular streams and try to be consistent with them. But I will need time in order to get that to happen. Please bear with me, and please have patience, and please keep an eye out on all the outlets for further announcements on future streams. Until then, next week is supposed to be kind of chiller than last week. I can't guarantee because I don't really know what the workload's going to be until I'm hit in the face with a massive project. But as it stands, I can tell you right now that Monday, tomorrow will probably not be a thing. Saturday will also probably be, it might be a thing, depending on how I feel after Poster Pit. Sunday is going to be a city day, so no thing there. But in terms of weekdays, you know, we'll see how it goes. We'll play it by ear and see what happens. That all having been said, I'd like to thank y'all for dropping by and watching me transcribe and listening to me ramble on for at least one break about the future of this draft and all the world building. It felt really nice to like talk about that. So, you know, maybe I'll talk about more world building stuff, like, I don't know, what the rest of Eldana looks like, a little bit more about the first stage. You might even get a little bit of spoilers, because I know who the first stage are. They're not the dragons, just as a little hint. And I am very excited to share more information, but that will not be coming on this stream, at least. You might get spoilers next stream. We'll see, because nobody listens to like a 3-hour stream unless it's apparently about the Beverly Hillbillies. That was a mistake, by the way. Do not do that. Do not watch that fucking video. It was hell. It was enjoyable. I applaud the person who did it, and I learned a lot about media that I didn't really have any interest in beforehand, and it was, there were moments of fun time, but 42 hours is not something that I would recommend anybody to sit through. But in any case, with all that said, you know, I hope that you join me on the next stream. Thank you for coming to this stream. Hope you join me for the next stream, where we're going to have more fun times, and there will be more surprise and excellent stuff. But in the meantime, we're going to wrap it up. Have a great rest of the night. Have a good Monday. Reynos, I hope that the rest of your Monday goes great. And, you know, maybe see you on Tuesday. Just keep an eye out. And when it happens, when I see you is when I see you. All that said, you know, good night. Sleep well. Got plenty of rest. Hydrate. Love y'all. Good night.